Okay, so I'm just going to demo the current nicely working version of this content filtering technology, and I'm going to use NPR text version, just a bit faster, and you'll see also because there's still a couple of performance implications that need to be done on the optimization of the whole thing. So first of all, I'm just going to show the solution working. So at the moment, I don't have any proxy enabled here, as you can see. So that means that if you basically go and browse NPR website, you get the normal website as it loads. So I'm going to enable the load balancer AWS, which is there, and you can see it's configured like this: mytm dev.ai 8080. And once we have that done, you now get this, which is the basically the proxy version going through now the main and middle. So you can see that this is now configured that any stories less than 0.5 gets removed. Well, it's commented, so you could see every character gets an X that was before. One thing that's interesting to show here is that you can see when we're loading pages, it does load 600 milliseconds, so it's still reasonably fast, 600 milliseconds, and that's the full reload from the cache, from the stuff, etc., loading back and forward. It's important to see that when you go to a page that we haven't cached, like I'm going now, it is going to take a bit longer. And at the moment, for this site, it takes between 7 and 15 seconds. For bigger sites, it takes about 40, 50, 60 seconds, and that's basically the LLM workflow, which at the moment I haven't optimized. So you can see here, right? So this page took 22 seconds to load. Very cool, right? But that's just the first time, because the second time it takes 600 milliseconds, right? So that's a good example of the power here. So let's kind of look a little bit under the hood what's actually happening here. So one of the coolest things that happens here is that in the site, if I add this mytm proxy, we come to this dashboard that we inject in the site, and this allows me to control what's actually happening here. So I got this extra sort of cookie that gets set. So if I remove this cookie, what you'll see now is if I go to this page, you'll see that there you go, right? You can see the article at play, right? So let me pick another one, for example. Again, the SpaceX one, right? So this goes directly there. And there's a couple of different modes here. So this is a good one, XXS. So what this shows you all the content that we have access to. So this shows that we have the round trip and the control. And then here you can just browse nicely at speed. I don't know what you're seeing, but basically we can browse the whole thing, right? And this is basically every single page that exists, and all the content gets replaced, and you can see that we've got a nice round trip exercise. Now, a more interesting one of these options is for example, the hashes. So what you see with this one is you actually see the hashes that we put in place. So you can see there, right, all the numbers in here, right? And these numbers there, and let me actually just open that new window so we get to see this. These numbers fundamentally are the text values that we have. So if I show you the ratings, so I think is this one here, right? So this will show me the JSON file of all the ratings that exists in this page, right? So let's say if I pick that FD something and I search for it, you see that there's a positivity, and then the text that was removed, right? So again, the same thing. So the spaceship text is that one, the SpaceX, and that's this text here. So every article that you have, basically has the same sort of structure, right? So if I go in here again, I'm just seeing the URL ratings. Let me just open that page, and then I'll show so this is basically all the ratings of the page that we have there, and then I'll show you the actual, see, that's all the ratings. So now if I change my settings to actually show the hashes, again, you get to see, where all the hashes go, right? So the hashes go there, right? So, and you can see that it breaks the content. This means there's a link here, right? So for example, if I try to find that particular hash, I find it here, right? So there's the, that particular text that was there, and that will be this text here, right? Starship to Mars, right? So that's fundamentally like the really cool behavior here, right? So what's powerful about this is that, in these modes, and there's a couple of others here, right? Like you could see the structure, etc., right? But the main ones is that filter content with minimum of 5, and that fundamentally shows you the information here. And you can see there's a couple of little things that got removed on this one, and a couple of others, that have, more negative content, and there's a lot more negative stuff being stripped out. So actually, this is a page I haven't been to. So again, it's going to take about 20 milliseconds to do. So there you go, right? So you can actually see that most of the content is actually removed on this one, right? So now the interesting question is where is this stored, right? So one of the super powerful things here, and again, this took 10 milliseconds, but if I go and refresh again, now 700 milliseconds. So where is this stored? So we actually have this sort of cache service, right? And this cache service that exists in here, I can now, the files are basically saved in this kind of like, you can see sites, text, NPR, and then all the pages. So every site that we have gets stored in this kind of structure. So it's kind of a mini database that we have behind the scenes. So if I look for that, for this NX particular file, you're going to see here, right? So I got my page entry, I got my JSON, I got the metadata, and then I got the information, right? So, and this is basically information that we can now get to. So we can now go and retrieve, and yes, the UI for this is going to become a lot better, but I can come in here and I can basically now grab this information. So you can see here, that's the URL that we got, that's the cache key that I actually used there, that's the domain, the path, etc. So this is a more interesting one. For example, this latest information here, this is actual the text of the website. So I can show you, because if I grab this and then I'll grab the content as binary, you will see it download the file. So now if I download the file, there it is. If I open up in a new window, there it is, right? So just to be clear, like this is the file that I retrieved from my cache, which is exactly the file that you have here, right? So again, if this file gets modified, we modify this, right? So it's pretty cool, right, to have now the caching system that, everything we capture here gets basically saved, not just this, but also the HTML and the individual parts of the structure. So yeah, it's working pretty well, right? And it kind of works for a bunch of different, what's it called, web pages. And now the question now is just to optimize that process here, which actually we could see it's basically the we just need to optimize this part here, which is the duration of the request. So fundamentally, is this process here that now needs to be optimized. This one. So this guy took 8 seconds to load. We need to bring this down, especially for other websites. And there's also sorts of interesting strategies that I'm going to explore. But yeah, working quite well.